You make a dead man come. Remember the beastly anguish of loneliness. Remember and shed soothing, refreshing tears. Remember death and illness and misfortune.
Social distancing right hour. Kalima. He's Adam.
He's Michael. Was that Werner Herzog doing the subtitles for that?
That was my next question.
I don't.
I mean,
know.
I really believe it. If it wasn't, it was a very good approximation.
Very convincing Werner Herzog impersonation.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing? I broke my glasses, but other than that, I'm doing okay. And it's really distracting because it's right in my peripherals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I went yesterday. I managed.
And you didn't even break them cool like Buddy Holly. You're just.
No, I didn't even break them here. It's although my initial breaking of the glasses was like slamming around with people at a noise show. So, but then the subsequent final breaking of the glasses was Oscar knocking them off my face on Friday.
With malice and anger?
No, I was helping him put pants on, and he like jumped up into my face and off the face and onto floor and breakage. But I managed to find somebody who could like get me in the next day and see me, which was harder than you would think, because like with all the like retail, optical places in our little hamlet, like you would think it would be easy to be like. Yeah. You will have your pick of places who will see you the same day. And the first place I called was like, we can see you a week from Monday. And then the next place I called was like, we can see you a week from Tuesday. And like, this is not going in the right direction. And I finally found one that could see me like at my choice of times the next day. Like, that's what I'm talking about. So maybe by next week when you see me next.
Well, or they're just shite at like.
I don't really care. Like, I mean, my eyes
shitty prescriptions.
My eyes have not changed in several years, which is good. I mean, for a guy who's now on the wrong side of 40 to be like, the fact that I'm not going blind at this point is, counting my blessings. My prescription has been the same for as long as I've been able to remember what my prescription is. So that's good. And, so maybe by the time you see me next week,
that's positive.
I'll have new glasses that, don't look like garbage. Yeah. But definitely by the week after that, I should have them. So that's my big excitement of the weekend.
Are you, I'm blessed with perfect eyesight.
Bless your heart.
So I've never had to pay to see. Yeah. So, but are you going to try to change it up, or do you kind of try to maintain your like Learned Holquist, rectangular, seeing my glasses gives you a glimpse of my personality?
I'll change it up a little bit. There was no sense, if I'm going to get new, there's no sense like repeating the same thing. And they had like a 2 for deal. So I've got like, I can present 2 different looks to people, and I've got like learned man Holquist and
professional,
then other different learned man Holquist. So I'll have I got a pair that are more sort of like chunky plasticky ones, and then I got like very sleek, elegant, wire and no rim around the lens, kind of minimalist ones.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So those will be real hot.
Yeah. And you've finally reached an age where you can pull that off, and
I think so. Yeah, I think I can. without looking like I'm, you know, trying to be your teaching assistant in grad school.
I'm the cool one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Make sure we put this in the description after the recording goes up.
This will be in the show notes.
What do we talk about? We've got great guests, and we talk
about my glasses.
Talk about Adam's potential glasses. It's it's kind of it's getting close to me. I'm within lesser and lesser degrees of people becoming infected.
Yeah.
That are,
Yeah, me too.
Maybe not in my orbit, but in my periphery, and it's starting to, like it's starting to wear on me like that. And so I'm just thinking about how, you're finding it difficult to go in for something clearly necessary, whereas it wouldn't shock me if there's just a bunch of people going out because they, their glasses are so last year.
Yeah.
That they've got to get a new, a new pair.
I had put it off. I had put it off until the first of this year because, all these, exciting adult things like, oh, my insurance plan was changing and my coverage got a little bit better the first of this year. So I'm like, and I was already kind of nursing them along, like they're already kind of like cracked on the side that eventually broke, and I'm like, I'm just gonna wait until my copay goes down or whatever it was. And then that was January, and then I'm just not that organized that I had an appointment on January 3rd or anything. So I'm like, I'll get to it in another month or two. And then in another month or two, we all know what happened in another month or two. And then here we are. And like, I'm waiting. I waited until until I'm holding them together with a rubber band to keep them on my face to go do that. And I need a haircut. Which will be Ren with clippers in the backyard again. She did great last time. But
Ren with clippers in the backyard is the next level clue.
I was gonna say that's 4D clue right there.
Yeah, but it's like 150 plus cases a day for 10 days straight.
Well, and we were at, we were at 30, 40, 50, and then, within a week, friend of the show, Jay Brenneman, posted a nice graphic about it the other day, and it was like, week before last, it was 30, 40 cases a day, and then last week it was 80, 90, 100 cases a day, and this week it's more like 150, 160, so we're not quite doubling every week.
They held
up, getting close to doubling every week.
They had a mask burning in Washington Square Park in New York City.
Oh,
but people were burning their masks in protest, and I don't know how we put this back in the tube of the toothpaste that has already been expelled. I don't know, and there's no adult in the room, and even if there was, how could you believe anything that they say anymore? They're sacrificing us. Each and every single one of us is a sacrifice to the god of capitalism. And it's really just, this isn't just like Uncle Michael's socialist revolution. Like, this is people are dying because they are at work. And, now I've seen a lot of things saying like, it's not really spreading at places of business, and it's not really spreading at schools. It's spreading at private gatherings. And it's like, the fuck, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't say that. No private gatherings, but go to fucking work.
Yeah, and it is spreading at
schools.
Go
eat pizza and go shopping.
Whoever's suggesting that it's not spreading at schools, bullshit. It absolutely is. Like, Stella's school, who's been doing hybrid 2 days on, 3 days off the whole school year, they were like, nope, that was a bad idea. We need to stop doing that. So, like, after this coming week, they're going all online for until we get our shit together. And Una's school, they started the year totally online, and they were like, first in November, we think we're going to be able to start transitioning to a hybrid thing where we can, maybe think about doing, 2 days in school. And then, over the last couple weeks, they were like, yeah, nope, that's not happening right now. And that's because of numbers. Like, and I get calls. I don't even answer them, because it's like, it's just going to tell me that there's another positive case somewhere in the Mill Creek School District. I get the calls basically every school day that it's like, there's another case. Sometimes it's staff, sometimes it's a student.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much every day in the Mill Creek School District, there is at least another positive COVID case. And it's, daily new cases, to the point where they're like, no, we need to shut this down. We all need to go home.
And we're not.
No.
I have a particular view of the world at large right now, because of what I do in my work for the Commonwealth. And I mean, there's parties and gatherings every day.
Yeah.
But like, people are going to work and they're getting it. People are closing their businesses and then reopening them later after people have been infected. Like, there are so many things going on now that and I'm really upset with the leadership of everyone, but especially Kathy Dahlkemper, who pushed so hard for us to go green, and now is still, as of last week, the last time I watched any news, she's still like, get that bag, yo.
Yeah.
Like, get out there and work. We're keeping everything open, or these like 10 o'clock curfew shit. Like, COVID doesn't get deadly till the lights go down.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
No, I mean,
at this point, we need a universal basic income.
Yeah, we do. I mean, on one hand, I a little bit get the 10 o'clock thing, but it's a half measure, like everything else we're doing right now. And like, do people make progressively worse decisions in bars and restaurants as the nights go on? Sure. I mean, I've been to the Rook after midnight, and so have you. So, the fact that we're, not allowed to do that particular thing, is there a public health benefit to not being at the Rook at 2:30 in the morning? Sure.
Yes.
But, should we be anywhere at, 8 or 9 o'clock either? Not really.
Mm-hmm. No. I don't know, man. I mean, there are people that are working. There are people doing second. There are people doing third.
Yeah.
And they, like, if I'm closing a bunch of nights, I'm not getting up to do my grocery shopping and my banking, before I have to go in the next day. Like, shit's gotta, if we're all going to play this game, let's fucking play this game, like, get everybody back. I want to see fucking jugglers in the square. If this is how it's going to be, I don't mean that. No, we need to shut the fuck down.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of it.
Except for the jugglers.
The fact that we can't survive. I saw a thing.
I said except for the jugglers.
Oh, yeah. Jugglers with masks, 6 feet away.
Yeah.
Bring it. It's my distraction. Like the EDDC has curling. Fuck you if you're distracted by curling and think it's good fun, good harmless fun, because they're just using you. Like, you are simply a distraction from what they are doing to your city, to once again take money away from all the citizens and give it to people that already have it and do not need it, and better no one's lives by having it. Nick Scott. Anyway,
but curling does seem like fun.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing, since we're talking about assholes. Fucking Mike Kelly has joined in on the lawsuit against Pennsylvania, sending it to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, that says the mail-in ballots are unconstitutional and should not be counted.
All of them. Yours, mine,
and
everybody's.
Yeah. Right. So number one, he was elected in this election. So should we recall him? Number two, number one, first, it's totally traitorous, and he should be brought in front of military justice and then shot forthwith if it is proved that he is attempting a coup, which is what this is at this point.
Sure.
But they have no merit, no basis, no standing. Another judge just threw out the Trump lawsuit with prejudice.
I'm trying to find the quote from the dismissal. So yeah, keep talking, and I'm trying to find the.
It's amazing. Yeah. So Mike Kelly is in on this, and they want to throw out the votes, all the mail-in votes, all of them as unconstitutional, which is something that in 2018. Mike Kelly and the rest of the Pennsylvania GOP, save for one person, voted to allow.
Right.
Because Pennsylvania had not been a huge mail-in voting state, like the absentee, but you had to, rigmarole to get that. But mail-in ballots hadn't been a thing. And then, boom, he voted for it.
Yes.
And now he is claiming that it's unconstitutional, which I'm of two minds here, that maybe they are smarter than we think. And that he spent all that time suppressing the Republican mail-in vote as fraudulent so that they wouldn't come out, so that mail-in ballots would be overwhelmingly for Democrats.
Yeah.
So that they could kind of take those away and still feel comfortable. But I don't think they're that smart. I don't think
they're that forward chess about it. I found the opinion.
Please.
In this action, the Trump campaign and the individual plaintiffs seek to discard millions of votes legally cast by Pennsylvanians from all corners, from Greene County to Pike County and everywhere in between. Fine, don't love our corner. In other words, plaintiffs ask this court to disenfranchise almost 7 million voters. This court has been unable to find any case in which a plaintiff has sought such a drastic remedy in the contest of an election in terms of the sheer volume of votes asked to be invalidated. One might expect that when seeking such a startling outcome, a plaintiff would come formidably armed with compelling legal arguments and factual proof of rampant corruption, such that this court would have no option but to regrettably grant the proposed injunctive relief despite the impact it would have on such a large group of citizens. That has not happened. Instead, this court has been presented with strained legal arguments without merit and speculative accusations unpled in the operative complaint and unsupported by evidence. In other words, this is like an unprecedented move, and if we're going to make an unprecedented move, you better have some fire behind it, and instead you come in with some weak bullshit and expect us to do something that literally no court has ever done in the history of our country. Get the fuck out. That's my interpretation.
63 for 64 as a legal scholar.
Yeah, something like that.
What are they? 63 to 64.
Oh,
and the one is just a non.
The one was like,
but
the one was like,
but yeah, so
the one was like, yeah, you can watch, but they're done. So
yeah, good. Yeah, Giuliani's an absolute farce.
Yep.
But all this stuff happening on it, but Mike Kelly on a fucking local level, like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, you were elected. Like, you do understand that now that calls your election into question as well, right? I mean, I don't understand how you can be of two minds that, like, all these votes are bad. Well, then you're in a bad election too.
Yeah.
Which, Christy could hire us as media advisors.
I was going to say, like, we should get Christy back on the show. Well, like, we tried to get her on the election night post game show, and she
needs another like 2 weeks of sleep.
Yeah, she was like, I'm tapping out for this week. I'm election nighted out, and I mean, fair enough. But she's definitely down to come do a postmortem with us sometime. So like now that he's got some extra special stuff to say, we should definitely take her up on that. So Christy, if you're watching, and I think you are because I saw you like or comment or something. Hit me up and let's talk about this exciting stuff that Mike Kelly has to say, because it's very, very special.
Silent G.
So we do not have.
I can't believe people watch this shit that we do.
I know.
Um,
So we do not have Christy Ganibus with
All
a
right.
silent or unsilent G with us tonight, but we've got a cool show tonight.
Oh, we definitely have a cool show. What are you drinking?
Oh,
You were sipping on some like mixed drink.
Yeah, it's empty. I need to go make myself another one when we do the video. But I'm drinking gin, and it's the holiday season. The holiday season. So all the cranberry ginger ale has come out. So I'm drinking gin and cranberry ginger ale, which is delicious.
Cranberry ginger ale.
Mm-hmm.
Hot.
Yep.
Ooh. Oh yeah, let's get all that in there.
Yeah, get that all up in there. Whoa.
Yeah. This is Altered Dimensions.
Okay.
Out of the Columbia Valley in Washington State. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon.
That's super trippy.
But yeah, I've seen it. It's relatively new in this, in the region that it's available. I mean, it's just I can't, I don't know. Trip out.
Here, let me blow you up. Let me blow you up full size.
Oh yeah, blow me up full size.
There you go. Make it big. There you go. That's the shit right there. Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, 13.5%. We'll see how it does, but probably the only good thing about climate change is that Oregon and Washington and southern Canada and Vancouver areas are starting to get the kind of weather, especially in the mountainous valleys, that like Sonoma and like Monterey and some of those other places, Napa, like they're starting to get those kinds of temperatures and weather patterns. So they're able to grow better wines.
Yeah.
So
when we're all,
if you got any money and you're interested in vineyards,
when we're all drowning in our own whatever, at least we'll have good wine to drink.
Domesticated Pacific Northwest
Yeah.
wine as you crawl across the scorched earth with your COVID ravaged lungs, waiting on your next stimulus check.
You'll at least have
Altered States,
a delicious Pinot Noir
Altered Dimension, Altered Dimension, yeah.
Altered State too.
Oh man,
different thing. But shout out to
Altered State too.
Friends of the program. But anyway, we got a cool show.
Yeah.
Old friend of the program, Nicolle Neulist.
We should start getting some underwriting.
We should definitely do that because I was listening to a bunch of podcasts today. Speaking of which, we should definitely do a podcast version of this show, but we'll talk about that later. But like they all have these like,
Great.
This thing, and speaking of this thing, have you heard about Casper mattresses? And we could definitely work in some quality local underwriting for this show, and like it would be, like I think there's enough like cool local businesses out there whose products will happily enjoy anyway. It's like, you know what? You don't even have to give us money. Just like give us a bottle of whiskey, and we'll say like, hey, go drink this because we do, and we know what's up.
Where else can you advertise your hand blown tobacco pipes?
For tobacco use only, like Michael does.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a cool show tonight.
It's Indian tobacco, my friend. Please introduce our guest because I'm super excited to stop talking about us.
Old friend of the program, Nicolle Neulist, is with us. Gonna do some poetry. Gonna talk about horsies and nerdy shit and whatever else we get into. A new friend of the program.
They're awesome.
Clark Edmands is with us. It's supposed to be Ashley Sarah de Rivas. Ashley is under the weather, so all the best to Ashley and hoping to get her back soon. But Clark,
she's making sneezing videos for her OnlyFans.
Yeah, she is definitely making the sneezing. But that's a double callback right there. You check out the 21st episode spectacular for the replay of our sneezing talk with Ashley. But yeah, definitely want to get Ashley back soon. But unfortunately tonight is not the night for her. So Clark Edmands stepping in last minute. Clark Edmands, singer-songwriter, newish Erieite, new friend of the scene. So excited to talk to him and hear some tunes from him. And
don't know what to make of them yet.
Yeah,
I hope we can be friends.
yeah, we hope so. I think we will. I got warm fuzzy feelings about it. But let's get into some music. Let's get our guests.
I don't know,
here.
man. I'm feeling ornery tonight after talking about Mike Kelly.
Yeah. Well,
we should reach out to his people.
Does he have people? Does anybody still like him?
Oh, they're pod people.
Yeah,
they all went to like some evangelical college.
Like his people don't
like Mercyhurst.
His people don't want to talk to us. Like I'm still surprised that the Persinger wanted to talk to us, but Mike Kelly's people don't want to talk to us. Like we're from Erie.
Like we made his cool. We made his quotient cool. Persinger should be sending us thank you cards.
Yeah, I got a nice fruit basket.
We should get curling. We should get our names put on curling stones.
Yeah, well, I think he should just comp our curling team for next year. We will definitely have the social distancing variety hour curling team next year, if they let us play for free.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
definitely.
We'll
get a couple of ringers.
Yo, for sure. I bet Doug Bailey's a great curler. Like he's got that like I know how to curl energy to him. Yeah.
He's got the look. You look like you could curl.
I bet
that's all we're really looking for.
I bet you can curl like a motherfucker. So let's get into some music. Let's get our guests in here, and then
we got to get Sule too.
Oh, for sure.
I want Sule on our curling team.
Yeah. If it's like a men's,
all right. Anyway,
if it's like a men's
you're trying to do a show.
I'm trying to do a show. Yeah. Here's some music.
Yeah.
This is Sir Nathan Dufour Oglesby, friend of the program, talking about economics.
Yay!
And we'll be back with some guests. See you in a minute. Social distancing Friday hour.
Social distancing Friday hour.
There's no denying it. The world is in crisis. Unless you're pure transcendent mind or a nihilist, you might not be fine with it. You might be sick. The climate shifts, titans and tyrants vie for the tightest grip. The crises are diverse. But one might inquire if all of these agonized varieties of strife and rift are underlined by what their one bottom line is. Avarice, affluence, influence, finance. It's a common refrain. Blame the economist. But what job is named by that name? Is it obvious? Is the job that has the broadest effect upon the populace? It would probably be best to define what its province is. Ecos means house. Nomos means rules. It's the rules of the house. But whose house is whose? Why do people lose their houses like you see on the news? People may not be economists, but not all are fools. So what are its tools and what are its concepts and what are their underlying ideological contents when we talk about growth, gross domestic product? Just because we've got growth, does growth mean progress? Does it often benefit these and not those? As it speaks the open secrets ideologies impose, do we need to rearrange how economics goes? Rearranged economics spells comic nose. Economic questions, it's an economic question. What the heck is going on? It's an economic question. How's it all connected? How's it gonna get corrected in the present and beyond? It's an economic question. What's the GDP per capita? The total output that's in a society divided by the people that it has in it. The peak in economic speak that's like a country's stamina. The data that when gathered demonstrate its people have the stuff they need. But do they need it? What's that mean? We need to eat. But do we really need a piece of every piece of green in Eden? Are the goods we manufacture really good because they sell? Does economic well-being really mean being well? Could theories be objective when theorists depend on the patronage of people who are able to spend? Does it work for the layman or for them who can lend? Can we make ends meet while we meet common ends? Economic questions, it's an economic question. What is going on? It's an economic question. How's it all connected? How's it gonna get corrected in the present and beyond? It's an economic question. I don't have the answers. I'm not a prophet, nor am I a master of the science of profit. Whether that science is misapplied or a proper fit is up to us. It's something that the science cannot predict. If you want better answers, you need better questions. The best preventive medicine against the depression. All the young economists with honest intentions. We'll see you at the YSI plenary session.
I almost pulled the pipe up.
So
distancing right
of the hour. Nobody heard that.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Hi, guests.
Hello. We got guests.
We got guests.
Our returning champion with a one-day total of $38,104.
Holy shit, that's a good one-day
Nicolle
total.
Neulist. Oh,
I had a good day.
She ran double Jeopardy.
Hey, there was a horse racing category, a 90s music category. I was doing pretty well.
Yeah,
Oh, you're in your element.
A Chicago category.
Chicago category.
Yeah.
You made our best of
Cute.
collection as you should have, our best of clip show.
Yeah.
And
Yay.
and I know of more than 3 people that have talked to me that said they went back to watch your whole piece because they were because they hadn't seen it and they just wanted to hear more of what you had to read. So
Oh, that's amazing. That
yeah,
makes me
so
happy.
oh,
Thank you.
definitely. And then I love watching it because then it reminds me of all the fun conversation that we had and when I first heard you read and just how in-depth and dope, and then also how you just like took passion, made it into a career, but also made that career back into passion. It's super cool. So I'm super happy to have you back.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, most definitely.
And,
So remind the people who you are, what you do, all of that stuff, because I know and Michael knows, and the people who have been with us since like, what was it, week 2 or 3 know? But like we got new friends who we've picked up along the way somehow by yelling at Republicans. So for those who have missed out,
Always a fan of that.
for those who have missed out on the glory that is Nicolle Neulist, remind the folks who you are and where you're from and what you do and all the things that you're excited about.
By the way, I'm always here for yelling at Republicans, kind of tying into something I've done here. I remember in 8th grade, we had a poetry project. We all had to kind of do our own poetry compilations, write and illustrate them. And I was in 8th grade in the 95-96 school year. So this was in the spring of 96. It was an election year. And over half of my poems were poems yelling at Republicans, like Jesse Helms, who was running for Senate again that year. So yes, I have a long and proud history of yelling at Republicans, but yes, my name is Nicolle Neulist. I live in Chicago, Illinois. I write about horse racing. I play a lot of trivia, including I'm on Adam's team in Online Quiz League. And I like to write poetry, among other things. So yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Awesome. And our challenger this week, who's local but not from here, so doesn't have the slowness from the lead poisoning in the water. That's special Erie slow. Clark Edmands, welcome. Let's all learn a little bit about you tonight. Just a quick, the Cliff's notes, and then later we'll pick you apart.
Okay, sounds good. Well, actually, so my mother's side of the family is from here. I used to come as a child in the summertime to visit my grandmother. She passed away in 2013, but now I'm in her house taking care of it. So I'm taking care of, my mom's childhood home and living back in Erie full time now since last summer. I moved because my mom's alma mater is Edinburgh, and she suggested I go back there if I wanted to pursue a degree in computer science. And I was doing that the past year and deferred this semester as things got nuts. And but so I've sort of been holing up the whole time I've lived here. And around March, I was like, all right, it's time to get out and really, explore Erie and meet everybody. And then boom,
how'd that go?
The rest of the story. Yeah. Terrible idea, apparently, in hindsight.
Yeah.
But that's why I've been sort of reaching out to, I got wind of your show online on the Facebooks and, have started checking it out for the past few months and just sort of dying to talk to you guys because, you're speaking my language a lot. And
appreciate it. People find us, Michael. I don't know how. But yeah.
I know.
That's my personal experience.
I know. Yeah, that's absolutely. It's because we're known, we're Erie famous.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
man.
That's it's sad, but it's true.
So
Oh,
yeah,
I got a nice comment from friend of the show, Paige Bosniak, that says she can tell us about Mike Kelly's people, and I don't know what that means.
Oh, well, I actually moved here to be closer to my boyfriend, Mike Kelly.
I think that's probably not the.
No, yeah,
Okay, yeah. Does he get you like good deals on
the
used
politician guy.
cars
Oh,
that have been in
Mhm.
like flood situations?
yeah.
Yeah, yep. A lot
Michael,
of
tell them
Yeah,
about the flood cars.
that's your grandma's
he's always
house.
talking about my tailpipes for some reason. I don't know.
Oh, and Doug Bailey says he's in for curling.
Oh, awesome. We're making a whole thing happen now.
It's awesome.
So Clark, how did you visit here enough to like establish any kind of connection aside from family, like, or were you just here for like a week to go to the beach and give a hug and then gone again? It wasn't,
I remember
like, did you have any friends in the neighborhood kind of stuff?
My grandmother. I mean, there were neighborhood kids that we'd hang out with, but we never established any sort of like friendship or anything like that. Yeah. So I didn't come to know.
And I
Erie
asked
until
because
moving
like,
here.
so you've just
so
been
it's like,
yeah. So it's just Tinder and Grindr and Facebook like all day long.
yeah, essentially, yeah, like striving for those human connections while never making them. And then, yeah, but I did get a chance to go out a little bit. Before we went green the first time, and yeah, I really like this place. I think in my opinion, it's. So I've lived in cities a lot, and it's a city, but it's also got a nice small town feel to it. So it's got this unique sort of charm to it. But it also means that you run into the same people.
You spent some time in New York. You spent some time in what, Austin?
Austin too. Yep.
Yeah.
And then a little in Savannah, Georgia. So there's like a southern vibe here too a bit. It's a mix of people. It's much more interesting than I had ever thought, honestly.
Yeah, I'm putting that on my business card. More interesting than people thought.
Hey, what a great slogan. It ain't bad.
Yeah.
Come to Erie.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But I think
but
one of the
I mean, because
there
are a lot.
I was just gonna say I have the pin that
ahead.
says it's okay to love Erie from Erie Apparel.
Yeah.
And I really like the arts and the businesses here. And that's why I'm sort of like upset that like the arts are suffering so much in this city right now, right? Yeah. Even though like the businesses that they normally be, say, performing at are doing just fine, yet somehow it's just confusing to me why that's happening. But
well, it's because the money that pays for a lot of these things comes from people who have it and don't need it. Mm-hmm. And that's a recurring theme on this show, really. The people in Erie who have enough money to throw at things like that, and
like they don't necessarily need to open a monopoly dispensary, but somehow they get the license, right?
Right.
Kind of thing,
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to open it,
yeah, okay,
yeah. I mean, this is you came here towards the end of last year, you said, right?
I came here last August.
Okay,
yeah,
so I guess you caught the tail end of a quote unquote normal Erie summer, and an Erie summer that's full of all the free things and all the like public live music and stuff that's kind of the normal part of an Erie summer. And that's the thing that I've missed this year. I don't want to say more than anything because there's plenty of things, but that's the thing that has, I guess, felt the least normal about this year. Is there's normally so much public art and public music in Erie, and somebody, I think it was Chris Risto, posted the other day about how much he was missing gallery nights, which I don't know if you're up on the whole gallery night thing. It's usually like a quarterly thing we do here, where basically all the galleries in town have simultaneous openings on the same night.
Oh, that's cool.
And
like an art walk of sorts.
Yeah, exactly like an art walk. And there's usually like live music at most of them, and it's awesome. Like, hey, come drink our wine and check out this art, and this person is playing, and and it's kind of a thing that like there's so many things that have just kind of quietly gone away that I haven't even thought about. Like there's so many things that are temporarily gone, and hopefully it's only temporarily gone, but there are so many of them that like any individual one of them, it's like, oh yeah, that used to be a thing that we used to do and it used to be awesome. And
Wow.
and
I
yeah,
didn't realize it was that quite that drastic. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's
especially at a time where people, it's a conundrum, right? But I mean, people really need the arts and that sort of thing to survive some insanity sometimes. And so this pull that we have of like that we can't do it. I understand why, but also
the artists need the opportunity to get in front of people, because like, you know, if you are a visual artist, or if you are, you know, somebody who relies on galleries and openings and stuff like that to sell your work or present your work or get your work in front of people, like, you know, yes, there are still galleries that are open. There are still galleries that are doing, you know, events with limited people, or events in some sort of like, you know, appointment only thing, or online events or whatever. But it's like, it's not the same as, you know, being in a room with, you know, a couple dozen or 100 people who are all there to like hang out and nerd out about art and music and wine and food and whatever together. Like it's definitely
yeah. How can you get Mac on a chick with a glass of Copper Ridge Pinot Noir against some fucking dudes like took different sneakers and put them in paint and then put them over some fucking shit and hung them in the gallery because they didn't do their fucking shit in time. So they're like, this will be cool. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you miss that because you can't experience that anywhere else. But Nicolle, for you, because you're in Chicago, so, but you're also very good at isolating, and like, can you feel a difference? Is it like, since we've last talked to you, has it gotten to you? Have you gone inside your head and you're like, you know, moving quicker and quicker to being found frozen in the snow versus like, you know, writing and doing stuff?
Oh, I mean, I'm always so deep in my head. It's kind of ridiculous. But just, it's been very frustrating because I spend a lot more time at home. I mean, I live alone, but I don't usually spend a lot of time at home. I'm just not a homebody by nature. You know, I've always kind of looked at my apartment as, you know, sort of like a storage locker for my animated carcass. You know, I come here at night to sleep. I get up, I take a shower, I leave, and I don't come back until approximately late o'clock, wash, rinse, repeat. And so being at home this much over the last 8.5 months has been weird. And, you know, you'd think with less going around, you know, that I'd have at least more time or more brain power to be creative, to do things. And yet, I mean, that's been a struggle. I feel like I'm doing less creatively during the quarantine than I have in years, just because, you know, for the first few months of the quarantine, I was stressed out about, okay, am I going to have enough work to pay the rent? And now I'm at least a little more stable in that regard, with a good bit of it being stay at home, which is good because quarantine, although, you know, for my job doing the race charts, I do have to leave the house 3 days a week because they race 3 days a week here, which is, you know, I go because
that's your job.
One, I have to, and two, I mean, I feel kind of bad for saying this, but it's true, so I'm going to say it. I do get stir crazy being home so much, and in that sense, even though I kind of hate it, just in the sense that I know staying home is the less risky thing to do, I like getting out of the house a bit. So I really do treasure those 3 days a week that I have to leave the house to go to work. And yeah, and it's just, I'm not looking forward to the fact that starting in December, that goes down to 2 days. And then January, February, is kind of the off season. So all of the work that I have will be the freelance stuff that I can do from home.
Well, and like here, and I'm sure Chicago is the same in a lot of ways. Like there have been a lot of things that have been able to kind of substitute and fake their way through the summer by being like, oh, we'll do the same thing. We'll just do it outside.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, and Chicago's weird because we have you were talking about it. Well, I say Chicago's weird. I mean, it's, I guess, not weird at all, but you're talking about all of the art walks and outdoor music events and things in Erie. Chicago, most, non-plague summers, we have a lot of that. Chicago is very much well known for its street festivals, and I don't tend to go to them. One, because I don't love being in large crowded places, and two, they happen to be on the weekends. And what am I doing weekends in the summer?
Working.
I'm at work, because when what you do for a living is everybody else's entertainment,
right?
When everyone's out having fun, you are at work. But this year, a lot of that was canceled, and there's been, some outdoor things, and a lot of places that are doing, outdoor dining and outdoor this and outdoor that. And now it's very strange. Obviously, there's less room for art, for music, for things to do outside, just because it gets cold and inhospitable outside.
Yeah. And it's just for that entire industry, it's just, this is the point of the year where it turns into, oh shit, now what?
Yeah.
Yep.
And especially, of course, you were talking about earlier about the, your kid's school that was saying, oh, we might be able to go hybrid by November 1st. And then no, it's that for a lot of things, and it's that everywhere, just with the COVID rates getting even worse. And, I think a lot of people thought we were sort of starting to be on our way up from it.
Yeah.
And we're not. It's
right.
worse than ever. And here in Chicago, they definitely they've tightened up the rules. They did a curfew, not that the curfew is super helpful in itself, but they've put, I forget what the hours are, but no non-essential going out between 10 p.m. and 6 in the morning or whatever it is. And they're saying, oh, you shouldn't go out and do things unless you're going to work or it's essential. And it's this kind of stuff that it's still the kind of stuff that you really should have been doing all along. And you were talking earlier as well about the idea of, oh, it's private gatherings, or as opposed to going out to restaurants or that sort of thing. And it's interesting. Early in the pandemic, it seemed like Governor Pritzker and Mayor Lightfoot were really on the same page about, stay home, let's lick this thing. And 8.5 months since, Governor Pritzker seems to still be reasonably good on that stay home, let's lick this thing path. But there's been conflict between him and the mayor, because Mayor Lightfoot has definitely started to go more and more towards the, no, like, it's okay, like, we need to keep restaurant dining open, and it's okay to do that, do your do your dining in smaller groups, or do your, do it inside but space out. It's just, and no, especially given what we know about the pandemic now, or what we know about the virus now, and all of the credible evidence that it's spread via aerosols, it's like,
It's kind of the worst thing you can be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So do you feel like that's, I mean, she early on in this was kind of like, kind of came off as, one of the good ones. Do you feel like she's kind of getting overwhelmed by pressure from the business community, or where do you think that shift is coming from?
I'm really not sure. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a push from the business community, just because I feel like that's inevitable in Chicago. I mean, I think that, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I've never been a Mayor Lightfoot fan. Like the whole, getting, I guess, less COVID and more other kinds of political things for the moment. When she was running for mayor, there was very much a tension between people left of center basically being like, it was in the runoff, it was down to her and Toni Preckwinkle, who was Lori Lightfoot had not been in politics so much as in like prosecutor side stuff. Like she'd been a prosecutor. And, I'm very get the prosecutors the heck out of my government. I don't want them there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't crazy about Toni Preckwinkle either, just because she was more political establishment. But on the other hand, one of the big issues we have here in Chicago is police brutality. Like our police force is horrible, and our police union is very powerful. And I didn't think that I of course didn't think that Preckwinkle would be amazing on that, but she wasn't an ex-prosecutor like Lightfoot. And there was that tension. Lightfoot got elected, and then during, June or so, with all of the widespread protests, and even going into July, going into August, you had Mayor Lightfoot doing things like raising the bridges to keep people out of downtown to try and keep the protests away from the center of business.
Right.
And I don't know how much those two things tied to each other, or whether that was just an example of, okay, we suspected you of this all along, and now you're showing us your whole ass. And but I can't completely uncouple those two things. I mean, if she's gonna raise the bridges to keep people downtown for fear of people, fucking up the businesses, then like, of course she's going to start leaning towards, okay, you've already started to open, stay open. I'm going to keep helping you along some more at the expense of more people's concerns, be it concerns for their lives at the ends of cops' guns, or concerns for our lives at the end of, a COVID virus.
Right. I remember her election because she, it was the identity of her that made her so special, and it was so wonderful and so historic. And it took, nationally, it took about 2 months. Before everyone's like, as you said, whole ass, just unreal. And I wonder how quick does the Chamber of Commerce get to you? How quick does the police union get to you?
Right.
How quick does your prosecutor mentality not play in a system that is rigged against everything that you are as a human being, but necessitates that you still function within this.
But you have those inroads because that's what you've done in the past, and now you're the mayor.
Yeah, but you're still a cop.
Yeah,
but you're still a cop.
Oh man. Yeah. Clark, you like cops, don't you?
It's a thin blue line kind of show. We told you that, right?
Oh yeah, totally. We get along great. I always thank them for their service, and they always show their appreciation of me in very interesting ways. But it's interesting that I
asked this question.
If we're going to be totally candid here,
I like to think of it like, be candid.
Okay. I have never encountered problems with them until I moved to this city. So really? I don't know what it is about me here, or if it's here. You know what I mean? It's just nowhere else have I really encountered
Well,
harassment.
I saw you post a thing the other day, and I don't know if this is something you want to talk about or something you don't, but
I'm an open book.
But we're gonna talk about it.
About like your car getting messed with and
Yep.
getting vandalized, and that was if I'm remembering right, that would have been outside of the city. That would have been in Mill Creek, but
No, that was right on Peach Street. That was just a few blocks from my house here.
okay.
Yeah.
That you said that was it. It was
One way
though, right?
in. Yeah.
Oh, I guess that is still in the city because that's yeah.
It's Miller, pretty much Miller and
Yeah.
Peach.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you have police involvement with that whole incident, or did you kind of leave them out of that?
No, I absolutely called them to file a report.
Yeah.
It happened overnight. I had left my car there with the bartender and manager's permission and walked here, which is, it was a 5-minute walk. And so I was like, I don't want to just drive,
Right.
for whatever, And I went back in the morning to get it at 7 in the morning, and the tire was slashed and there was damage done to the car, epithet written on my windshield. So I called the police because there was damage done that, I was going to have to pay for it. I wanted someone else to pay for it because that
Right.
should be how justice works. And they said, "Do you have any suspects?" And no, I didn't know who did it. It happened when I wasn't there. It literally could have been anybody, I guess. And once they heard that, they're like, "Well, okay, we'll take the report, but there's nothing we're really going to do about it. There's nothing we can do about it. There's no investigating to do, I guess, or something." Is what they the conclusion they came to almost immediately when I called them. But yeah. But that was my first like encounter with them here in the city, and since then it's sort of our relationship's degraded.
Tell me more about degraded, because I feel like there's stories to be heard here.
Yeah, there certainly are some. There's a couple. So there's another bar in my same neighborhood here, where at one point, they pressed disorderly charges on me.
Okay.
And in the course of that, I was taken downtown and all sorts of stuff, and since that, well, okay, they pressed the disorderly after I was so they asked me to leave and I left, and I came back to my house and I changed, and then I walked to go to a friend's house, and I had to walk by that bar on that street to go there. And as I was walking by, the cops were already there, and they had been called when they had asked me to leave, when the owners had asked me to, or the manager had asked me to leave. And so I was then called over by the police, and me being, I guess, a naive person, I went over and started talking to them, and then I was on the property again. And that's when they then, arrested me for that charge. And yeah, it was kind of, and since then, like, I've been having problems with that bar just because it's there. I can't avoid it. I literally have to walk by it if I go to the hardware store, if I go to the grocery store. And
I mean,
and
there's
we'll just say that
there's not too many bars this can be. Like, you can name names if you want to. If not, drop it in the chat to me, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off the air. But
yeah, you can deduce probably what it is. But
yeah, I mean,
I just don't like bad blood, so I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I gotta be careful with how I talk about it.
We'll put them on blast for you.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
You don't have to do it yourself.
Allies. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Oh man.
But it's just the life of a rock and roll musician too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're rebels without a cause.
Do you feel cooler now that you're getting harassed by cops in Erie? Like, it's a whole different vibe than well, I mean, because you're here, and I know how it is. I too have had a bit of wanderlust in my life and have moved around the country over and over again, and then find myself in Erie. But musically, artistically, like, there's a vibe here
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of talent here, but you know, does it? Do you feel it? And I mean, not just here. I'm just hyping this bullshit because of the show. But like when you go to Savannah, like when you go to Austin, when you go someplace else, like has it affected your style? Like, not just are you better for it, but are you a changed man as an artist?
I would say yes.
If I can call you a man.
You may, and thank you. I thought you were going to say, can I call you an artist? And I was like, go ahead. It changed me as an artist, but in definitely unexpected ways. Just for instance, in Austin, it's a great music town. A lot of great music has come out of it. There's a lot of talented people there, but there's like, I had moved there in 2008, and it's still happening, but a huge influx of people, right? Just like hundreds of thousands a year. Or something, don't quote me on that, but you're a tiny fish in a huge ocean, so I had to figure out ways to, like, you know, I had to understand that you need to stand out in some other way. Like, you can't necessarily just get by on talent. You also can't just get by on networking there. Like, there's like cliques that would always form there because of the competition, you know what I mean? It was like people would form like alliances and like groups that would try to, you know, help each other out, but no one outside of it. And so it changed my approach to the music business living in the different cities. And of course the art would change itself as well a little bit, just because as a very like empathetic and open person, like influence like artistically, you know, I absorb it quite easily. So, you know, like after living in Austin for 4 years, of course, like I was a little bit more country and things like that. And after living in New York, I was a little bit more, I don't know, like cocaine D&B or something. Cocaine fueled club music. No, but indie, that kind of stuff. So yeah, in interesting ways, it's definitely changed me. Erie, I completely agree though with your sentiment that there's a lot of talent here, which honestly I wasn't expecting. Like I said, I moved for school for like scholastic purposes, but it's been a pleasant surprise to meet some of the musicians and the visual artists and the theater people here, as much as I can in this environment.
Right.
You, like, in a way it's a blessing just to get out, to be fresh blood in here. It's like when new DNA would move to the small town on the outskirts, like everyone, you know, everyone will be so curious.
Fresh drop in the gene pool.
You're absolutely clean.
Give me some of that new.
Right.
Yeah, like you haven't fought with like someone's 8th grade ex-boyfriend. Like you haven't, dated like everyone's cousin. Like it's just, so you're fresh, but at the same time, this is so fucking cliquey that you will never fit in, no matter, who you love or try to, and what band you get into, you'll never belong. It's terrible.
Are you telling me that's how it is here? Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
yep. So good luck.
Well, that's all right. Well, I have a lot of cousins around here. One of them might have banged like someone's.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you're right. You got connections here.
Yeah.
I've only lived here since '94, and I'm still not from here because I didn't go to Catholic grade school with with so and so.
So my mother went to Grover, Cleveland. So the womb I came from was here before you were. What's up?
but Mike,
pussy rights.
That's right.
Oh, that's awesome.
That reminds me of St. Louis. I lived in St. Louis for 3 years, and it was weird. St. Louis wanted to be respected like it was a big city on the caliber of like a New York, a Chicago, one of the biggest cities in the world. But the thing is, to be the big city, you have to be somewhere where you can go and make your fortune. And in general, nobody really cares all that much if you're from here or not. Mm-hmm. St. Louis wanted to be seen as one of those kinds of places. And yet the question every conversation started with, where'd you go to high school?
High school, yeah.
Mm.
I got
And that was
I got a very special relationship with St. Louis. Like a bunch of my best friends are from there.
Poser.
Like I've been there and played there a bunch of times, and it's like I don't know if you've ever been to Pittsburgh, but it's like Pittsburgh in a lot of ways. It's like
I've been to Pittsburgh briefly. Like I went through there once to do some items on a scavenger hunt road trip, but that was it.
But it's like it's either the tiniest large city or the biggest small town in the world, and it's very, very parochial, very kind of like it matters whether or not you're from here, and like your like city bona fides are really, really, really important in a way that they're not in a lot of other places. And I think St. Louis kind of has some of that too. Like it's definitely the born and raised are definitely looked on differently than the people who end up there, and in that way that Erie kind of is too. And I mean, I'm not. I've lived my whole life apart from like 8 months in Western Pennsylvania, and I'm like 3 generations back on both sides from Western Pennsylvania, but still, like, I'm not from Erie, and like I will never be from Erie in the way that Bob Mursky is from Erie. Which means nothing to Nicolle.
Fucking bootlicking cunt.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just throw that name out there so that you can call him a cunt. Thanks for picking that up.
I'm like, I've spent 3 or 4 days of my life in Erie, and that's it. I don't know who this person is.
He's
no, don't worry about it. He doesn't know us either.
Oh, he knows me. He has sent me mail when I've been in the newspaper, so he at least knows I'm one of his constituents. He's our local state representative. He's our local state representative. But like his dad was sheriff. His dad was sheriff in the 90s. And like it's a huge thing in Erie. Like we've got all these like political dynasty families that go back generations, and especially
nothing like Chicago.
Nothing like Chicago.
Oh no, we don't have any of those. We don't have the Dailies. We don't have the Madigans.
Yeah.
But particularly, I don't know. I don't think Mursky is, but. It's particularly within the city. It's a lot of old Italian families who have been real active in Erie politics. It's the it's the Capabiancas. It's the it's the Bizarros. It's yeah.
What has he done? Somebody. Anybody.
I don't know.
Ryan?
You'll get it. Yeah.
Ryan.
You'll get Ryan. You'll get you'll get a month free at the social distancing variety.
He told me
OnlyFans.
Yeah, so I was at Lavery for the Biden bus, and
nice, okay.
I was wearing a Ganebus pin, and I was wearing a Biden pin.
Nice.
And I walked up to this guy, this lanky, tall guy in a red, white, and blue tracksuit. And I was like, "You must be Ryan Bizarro." I almost called him Blizzard because and because of the graphic design made me think it was Blizzard. And he goes, yeah. And I had like a 2-minute conversation with him, and what he said to me was, "Where's your Ryan Bizarro pin? Go put one on." So that's what he's done. Do you mean like politically or?
No, that's basically him in a nutshell.
That pretty well sums it up.
Just wanted to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's
put
good.
him on blast.
That's good. That's good Bizarro content right there. Yeah. I don't know. We know who his ex people are. We don't know who any of his current people are. Yeah.
But they're all.
I did not put the pin on.
Yeah. Well, I'm not one of his constituents. I don't live in his district. So like the amount of shit I'm willing to give him is kind of like proportional to the fact that like he's not beholden to me for anything because
he is to me.
Well, that's right. You're not registered to vote where you actually live around the corner from me.
I don't actually live here. This is just my vacation residence.
That's just where you keep all your shit.
You read a lot on vacation, huh?
my permanent. Yeah, you gotta learn, constantly learning. The day you stop learning is the day you die. But yeah, no,
But Nancy's
mi
a
madre,
constituent.
yeah, mi madre. She's like, I voted against him. She's like, fuck him. She's like, I knew. Hey, she didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
Mom, I love you. I'm paraphrasing. But she's like, yeah, like I knew Hayes or whoever that other guy was that they run against him.
Yeah, I would not. If I were a constituent, I would not vote against him for that guy, because fuck that guy,
right?
Because he's like,
right.
So I did the mail-in ballot before that event at Lavery, and I just would have left it blank.
Yeah,
if I had voted after.
Well, and like we've been talking about your boyfriend Mike Kelly. He's the bottom, by the way. Yeah, I bet he is. It wasn't. I think it wasn't 2 years ago, but 4 years ago, he ran unopposed. And like, what in the world are we doing having somebody like him running unopposed?
Unopposed,
like unopposed. Like not just unopposed in the primary, like not just not getting primaried for being a piece of shit, like totally unopposed.
But in the whole game, yeah.
In the general,
yeah. Like if you think the Democrats give a shit about you, you're a fucking idiot. Like I don't know. I think every election that I have voted in since I was 18, which I got to vote for Clinton. Bill Clinton, the
father.
It has been a choice of, do you want this like borderline fascist ex-CIA guy, or like some other just corrupt corporate shill, or do you want this or the thing that's not that? It's never been an ideal.
Slightly less fash than
like,
that.
do you want this or do you want this?
Yeah. Do you want me to lick my knuckles before? Just spit on it first. That's the Democrats' new slogan.
Do you want to hear my favorite
Edmands,
ridiculous run-in? Do you want to hear my favorite ridiculous run-in with a scummy politician?
Absolutely.
Please.
Yes.
Okay, so this was Labor Day 2010. And I was a member of a hackerspace at the time, and it was up in the Avondale neighborhood on the northwest side of Chicago. We're there. I needed to pick up a couple of things, and then we were going to go to the bar about 2 blocks up the street for a few drinks. And my friend and I go to the hackerspace so I can pick up a couple of things. And of course, because it's a hackerspace, there was all kinds of like random crap that people had brought in. And a lot of it was like electronics or tools or computers or books or what the heck ever. But like a year before, somebody had brought in this like 8 or 10 foot long Rod Blagojevich campaign sign. And my friend was like, why do you still have that? Y'all just need to get rid of that. And I'm like, I guess someone thinks it's going to come in handy sometime. I don't know. So we finish up there. We go to the bar 2 blocks up the street, sit down, and maybe half an hour later, one of my other friends at the table is like, look behind you. I look behind me, and there was the most perfectly manicured head of politician hair I'd ever seen in my life. Rod fucking Blagojevich was at the bar. And this was Labor Day 2010. So he had been convicted of trying to sell the Senate seat, but hadn't been sent to prison for it yet. But he was thoroughly disgraced at the time.
Yeah.
And we're like, holy shit, we need to bring the sign. Sorry, Adam. And so my friend tries to text her friend who was still there, like up the street. He doesn't reply. And so they put me on waylay him if he tries to leave duty while the two of them walk up the street to go get the sign. He gets up looking like he's about to leave. So I go over there and, talk to him, pretend to be a fan or something, just so he'll stay around. And sure enough, a couple minutes later, my two friends and another couple people from the hackerspace walk in with this like 8 or 10 foot sign. Blagojevich lights up like a Christmas tree. It's like, oh, where did you get this? And he's like shaking hands and kissing babies and autographing the sign. He poses for pictures with us. I still have pictures with him. The bar basically turned into this absurd Rod Blagojevich campaign rally, despite the fact that he'd already been convicted for trying to sell a Senate seat.
How bizarro.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Oh my God.
It was weird.
Yeah.
So fulfilling yet so American. Like
Yes!
like
my people love me.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like,
Michael, do you want to tell the Mike Kelly Bayhawk story again?
Yeah. This was like before he ran. This was before he decided to run. And we have a D League team, but what is now known as a G League NBA like farm team, you know. So a friend of mine gets floor seats for us. So, you know, we're sitting on the floor and well, you know, I'm big time. Yeah. But the people back in the day when people wanted to be seen in public with me. So we're sitting courtside, we're, you know, having cocktails or whatever, and watching warm-ups, and just like, oh, look at us, tough guy. Like the waitress comes up to us instead of having to go stand in line, kind of shit. In Erie though, so not that great. But anyway, so all of a sudden, this like, you know, wingtips start coming towards us, but like Men's Warehouse wingtips, and so and they're just like, and it's like, all right, move. So I'm 6'4", you know, 3 3/8 or some shit, but like I'm 6'4", and you know, you don't get a proper fold down seat. You get like a folding chair with padding on it when you're, you know, courtside. So I'm not sticking my legs out. They're just my normal distance. And mind you, this is before the game starts. So there's no game happening. And this guy comes through and is like, you got to get out of the way. And I was like, I'm not getting out. I'm right here. Just go around there. And it's fucking Mike Kelly and his fucking handler. And so I was like, you know, fucking, you know, toss off. You can go around me, whatever. And it just like comes through, like almost pushing me through. And we're courtside. So it's not like you're making your way to a movie theater kind of deal. Yeah. So then they're down like
the basketball court.
Literally a whole court.
So they're like 5 seats down from us, and there's nobody else there yet. And for most of the game, because people in Erie aren't buying courtside seats, at least at this. So like it just keeps looking down at me, like, you know, like, fuck, you know, you ruined my whole night. And I have no idea who this fucking guy is until another one of their people start coming through, and they're like, oh, vote Mike Kelly. I'm like, who's Mike Kelly? Like, that guy. I'm like, fuck that guy.
And this was like years before we had like an educated fuck that guy decision. This was like a knee-jerk fuck that guy. Like,
I don't even know his politics. Don't even need to. Just like, fuck that guy. Right. Like
you were right. You were right so early on the fuck Mike Kelly train. Wow. And Nicolle, since you don't live in the district, Mike Kelly is sort of like, if you can imagine Rush Limbaugh as a used car salesman. That's sounds
like the worst.
Oh, that's basically Mike Kelly. I mean, he doesn't have cancer yet, but
yet not as cosmopolitan.
Yet not as cosmopolitan. Not as cosmopolitan as Rush Limbaugh, who grew up in Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Did you learn that for Jeopardy?
No,
Quiz Bowl.
I just happen to know that.
Yeah.
We had a fun match today, though, didn't we?
We did. They
Just-
were a
Yeah.
they were a very good team.
We played a
All right,
good...
for wait, hold on. For the layman,
Yeah. What is
and
this?
by which I mean people that could get laid in high school, and so didn't have to be clever. So tell us what it
I'm out.
is when you could do your quizzing. Is this online? And
Yeah,
as a
this
team,
is-
do you get time to like converse, or is it just like
Yeah, is it like
it's
a
your
Zoom thing
specialty?
like this?
Yeah.
It is a Zoom thing. Yeah. Nicolle and I, we're on a team together in Online Quiz League USA, which is the American offshoot of a British league called Online Quiz League. And it's a 4-on-4 team competition, and basically like all the it's team it's you know, a team, it's head-to-head team of 4 against team of 4 thing every week, and basically
You're assigned to seats 1, 2, 3, 4, and a question is originally posed to somebody, but if they don't know it, they can pass to a teammate, and then the teammates will like signal. If you're dead sure, you put up your fist, and if you have a
right.
wild ass
And
guess, you put up a one finger, and
then is it a toss up between the teams and like the elected person for that particular question? Like
no, it's
those
like
two on each
it
team?
goes
Tie
to
for-
whichever team it's due to go to, and like you can
Oh,
answer
okay.
it if you're the person who it goes to. Like each person on each team gets a question each round.
Oh,
And,
I see.
And if you can answer your own question, it's worth 2 points, or you can pass it to your team for 1. Or if you or your team miss it, it goes over to the other team and they can answer it for 1.
Family Feud style. Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
And is this? Do you guys have to like? Does the team have to have try? Do you have to try out to be in the league? Is it like a certain?
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
No. Anyone can form a team, and
Yeah, definitely.
me and Mike could come for you guys.
Right.
QuizCentral.
Yeah, you could.
QuizCentral.net. Go check it out. First season is got a couple weeks left, but second season is going to start in January sometime. I think sometime after the new year.
yeah.
Sounds
But like
fun.
our team is we're an international team. We're called No Better Social Distancing than the Atlantic Ocean. Addie, our team captain, is in Dumfries, Scotland, and Nicole's in Chicago. I'm here. We got our friend Brian is in Maryland. Danielle
Kenya's in North Dakota, and Danny. Where does
Dan-
Danny live? I forget what.
Houston. Danielle Stillman,
That's right.
Friend of the program, Texas correspondent Danielle Stillman is in.
Oh, so the roster rotates then because
Yep.
you have more than 4 on the team.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Just because like not everybody can make it every week, and we try and rotate people in and out and stuff. So it's good.
Yeah, like, Danny's got a really heavy thing with grad school going on right now.
Right.
I had to miss, I think, 2 weeks right there, kind of leading up to Breeders' Cup because it conflicted with a bunch of my horsey work.
Yeah.
So
And
it's nice to have people to shift in and out.
Addie's in Scotland, so if we're playing in the evening, it's like 2 a.m. for him. So he's like, "Yeah, you guys go ahead. Let me know how it went."
And then he stays up anyway to watch it because he's Addie and he doesn't go to bed.
Right. But
I can't wait until I start making money sometime and people are like, "Hey, can you make it to this party?" And I'm like, "No, I gotta go do my horsey work." Oh man. So awesome transition because both of you are artists and you both created things, and then we can take some time to celebrate that, so that we can get into other accoutrements while you guys are doing something good. So Nicolle, would you like to read something for us tonight?
Sure, I can read a few poems. That'd be good.
All right.
Awesome.
Then
Cool.
whenever you're ready, I think you can do 1 or 2, and then we can get into some music with Clark, and then we can talk some more, and then partial nudity, and then
Yep,
That's how we get down.
I had 2 that I wanted to read, and then we can move on to Clark, and Clark you can do your music.
Cool.
I guess I will start with a horse-related poem. A lot of it does, and I was just talking about horse racing. So this poem is called 8. Pointed eyes inspect, busy hands dash, cinching saddles, tying on blinkers, stepping through the ritual 8 minutes before post. 8 is old for a racehorse. Not the end, but the time when the sky bursts into bands of orange and cornflower and periwinkle before the green of the trails supplants the russet oval underfoot. Almost 70 races in, Dadder we hear wondered what he had never done. He had walked around the paddock 1,000 times without incident, coiled, under control, letting the countenances of fans and friends focus and recede as he walked his circles and stopped, only when the hands of his groom gave the cue. He had never stopped to con a peppermint from an adoring fan at 8 minutes to post. He refused to retire without trying.
Cool.
I'm here.
And thank you.
Before you get into the next one, and I know we talked about it a bit before, but as a sometimes poet myself, I'm always fascinated by the like chasing the muses and letting them just come to you. And since, I mean, at least from what you've read to us and a lot of what you do, like, is the artistic sort of sense of the business side of what you do in your writing. Do you think it keeps you more focused and allows you to write things when you're writing about horse racing or the life that happens with it? Or am I just reading too much into it and it's just what you're doing, so that's what you write about, you know?
I don't know, because before I did it as a career, and before I even thought of doing it as a career, I was writing
horsey poems.
About horse. I was writing horsey poems. I was writing horsey prose. I was, tweeting random crap about horses. The same sort of things that I still do now. And then it ended up becoming a career as well. And I'm just glad that even getting into it as a career now, working in horse racing has been my, it's been my career now, and not just a hobby or even a side gig, but my actual career for about 3.5 years. And the fact that I still love it enough to think about it and write about it just for fun makes me really happy, because that was something I was petrified about when I started doing it as a career and not just as something for fun.
Yeah, it became a responsibility, and then it's like, well, those aren't always inspirational.
But that's something that's really nice though about just the different kinds of writing, because I have the race charts that I do. I have handicapping articles that I do, just trying to discuss races and pick winners. I have even some feature articles, or even this one series that I did through the Kentucky Derby Trail this year that was a lot of fun. Is an editor commissioned me to do a weekly series where I was talking about Kentucky Derby Trail horses in the context of songs that I liked. Because every so often I'd post stuff on Twitter like, oh, such and such a horse is running and that's putting this song into my head. And he asked me to turn that into a series of writing. And that was one of those things where it's like, I'm getting paid to do what? Hell yeah.
Well, and like I read a piece a couple of months ago that you wrote about, like, and it wasn't even about the horses part of the races. It was about like the musical entertainment that was part of the infield shows of the races, and like, here were the ones that were good and here were the ones that sucked, and here was the one that had Papa Roach.
that was such a weird one, because it didn't have anything to do with the horses. I had a couple of weird assignments like that, or even last week I had, for that same site, they wanted me to do a piece about horses named after Kobe Bryant. And I get
There's
it
more than
because
one?
they're trying to.
This is my new thoroughbred helicopter crash.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh.
But I mean, even then, that had stuff tying into horses. But yeah, the one piece I did about the Preakness Infield Fest was weird that it didn't. But I have a lot of pieces that I wrote earlier this year where, based on whatever horse won the big derby prep that was going on last week, I had to tie them into a song. And I spent a lot of time and had a lot of fun just trying to pick good songs, interesting songs that I thought tied into the horse that week. And every single week I was petrified that I wasn't going to come up with one. And every week I did because I had to. And I could.
I'm so happy for you because I know lots of writers beyond myself that suffer for what they do and are working like corporate news gigs or just scraping by writing just shit they hate, like writing positive reviews for local bands, Nick Warren. So Nicolle, I'm super happy for you that you get to, do something like that and your art doesn't suffer for it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm grateful. Like I said, I was afraid, especially when I started doing it, but I also realized I wouldn't know until I tried. And if that door was going to open for me, I may as well walk through it and see what happened. And I'm glad that I can still have other kinds of writing that I do that isn't my career. I'm not poetry is not my career. Writing
it's no one's career anymore.
It's no one's career. But I'm glad that I can still have fun doing that, and I don't feel like I'm at work. It's a complete other thing. Be like, okay, the whole idea that a lot of times I'm just too frazzled to do as much of it as I want to because of the quarantine. But that has nothing to do with my job. That has to do with the stressful times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the loss of spark, that's what it's been for me a lot, is the loss of being able to spark off of someone else, and not just one, but like multiple other people in multiple other degrees of like, I'm a writer, I'm a painter, I'm a musician, I'm, a hole for the night, like just anything to just culture, be able right? to just spark off of something that would, Yeah, I mean, we are the social creatures. We are tribal. We are, and so you miss that. And I do think art suffers because making art for yourself is all fine and good, but when you're mentally ill or when you're down on yourself or when you're someone else, then you kind of need to push out your art for some kind of, not even the approval of just like, here I am, woman, hear me roar kind of thing. And I think not being able to see that or get an audience reaction to that, or at least be around other people to fine tune that, has really paid a price for a lot of people. I feel bad for actors.
To even just get together and write. I mean, when there wasn't a plague going on, I would bring a notebook and a pen to a coffee shop and just write. Or sometimes I'd get together, there'd be these like shut up and write groups where everybody was kind of working on their own project, but there was that intent of getting together, breaking apart every so often to just spend a couple minutes talking, explaining what we're working on, that sort of thing. But there's even a certain power in getting together, even with that intent to each work on what you're planning on working on.
We're here.
There's a camaraderie.
We're here to get shit done.
Yep.
Oh. Yep. I'm gonna put my finger down on this E, and I'm gonna drone the shit out of it for 4 hours, and whatever you choose to put behind it, that's all fine and good. One-wayness.
Yes.
It's not doing the thing. God damn it! It's not doing the thing.
Oh, it was so close.
No.
I couldn't have tossed that up any softer.
I know.
And you just let the egg break. And that's why after
shit.
7th grade we broke up. That's why we didn't date after summer camp. Yeah. Oh.
There it is.
Oh, now we got a new show.
I mean, for me, it's
Michael
like,
Bennett's social distancing variety hour featuring Clark Edmands.
oh wow. For most of my career, because I have actually got, I've made salary as a musician before, which has blown my mind from time to time. I've been professional. I've been solo.
We'll see.
Solo act, but I do miss that. It's as introspective as my own art is. Like, I need that outside collaboration. I need some other head in it, some other ear to hear it, even if it's to steer me in a different direction. Because like you were saying, Michael, it is all about, like, if you're suffering, you do need to get it out. And for me personally, I like getting it out because it could potentially soothe someone else that's experiencing a similar pain, or maybe even a completely different one, but they hear something else in the music or in the words that soothes them. And like, I guess just as an empathetic person, that's one of the needs I have. And like right now, like, I'm streaming every week, like twice a week. And even though people are watching, I don't get that same energy, that same response, the audience that you're talking about. You need that music and art and of all types. It's all collaborations, all culture. And geez, you guys just want to come over?
Yeah. If I gotta walk past that bar.
Yeah. I hear you get arrested if you walk by that place.
Nicolle, would you like to read another? And Clark, if you'd like to, listen to Nicolle, but then also prepare yourself for anything that you'd like to start doing.
Could do that.
See, Adam does all the, like, between Sunday and Sunday, Adam does everything for the show, like literally everything. And then Sunday night before the show starts, he checks all the connections and I have to knock to get into our own fucking room. That's how fucking base low I am. But then when the lights go on, Daddy's turn to shine. So I get to direct from my floor. Put it all together. But he's the maestro. I'm just the monkey. He turns the box and I dance.
I just figured out how to make sounds.
I'll read one more poem, and it's actually kind of thematically appropriate that I was talking about, just the idea of it comes because it has to, in the context of the Kentucky Derby prospect music pieces that I write, because the second piece I was going to read is actually what's called a metro poem. And what a metro poem is you get on the subway or the train, or in the case of Chicago, the L, and while the train is moving, you can't write. You can only think in your head about what the next line is going to be. When the train stops to drop off passengers and let more people on, you put the pen to paper and you write down the line that you composed. The door's shut, it moves again, you compose the next line in your head. When it's stopped, you write it down. And so it's one of those things that there are very strict rules, but you really have one shot. And the quote from Jacques Jouet, who is the person who invented the form, was, French translated to English because he's French. And if it doesn't come, people always ask me, but it comes. It cannot not come. And
I'm putting that on my business card.
That's going on my tombstone. Yeah.
It cannot not come. But yes, this is.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is
that's really
a poem that I wrote on the L in Chicago one day. Patent crocodile bag draped anxiously in floral gauze, made of plastic or the real thing. Gauze swept, tied, a scarf, revealing dull silver grommets threaded with tan mat straps. Hands finished tying, clasped around its base, elbows nestled halfway down the height of the bag, empty top half creasing, giving way, cradling forearm above the unknown. A train card, papers, books, perhaps a dense brick mass market paperback, a meticulously researched true crime yarn too compelling to put down, but too compelling to slip open to the wear-softened receipt slipped inside at page 254, when the therapist's office is 5 stops away, and the last time it heard the strains of clattering wheels and rogue riders' radios, 15 stations vanished. Like the coffee table volume that used to fill the crocodile bag to capacity, the grommet's clack wore a dent in its glossy cover, 2 new eyes in Vincent Massif's slick face, overlooking slick glacial faces, preventing the bag from folding and cradling in arms.
I like that.
Thank you.
I like
Super
how
hot.
observational it was, you know? In like, yeah, it's cool.
And that was it. I mean, it all came because I get on the train and there was someone holding a bag that looked kind of folded weird in her arms, and it got me thinking, what's in the bag?
What's in the bag?
Yeah.
You see something,
Don't
say
look
something.
in the bag. Don't look in the bag.
What's in the...
What's in the box? Nothing.
You know, I recently read a quote about Brad Pitt. He's a character actor stuck in a movie star's body, and it makes sense, you know, because I think he gets underrated. We're going on a Brad Pitt tangent now. But anyway,
Go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
that was
I'm
it.
here. I'm here for
I
it.
just,
Yeah,
you know,
go.
I was watching like a clip from Inglourious Bastards, and I'm like, man, he's so great. And then, because it was about the woman who worked the slate on that movie, which she's incredible herself. There's like a clip reel of just all the things that she was saying, you know, before she did the slate. But you could see Pitt was in character, you know, as much as Christoph Waltz was, you know, before the slate was even ready, before action was called, and it just made me think, like, yeah, he's always sort of been underrated just because he's like very classically attractive.
Well, one of my favorite stupid popcorn movies is the remake of Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
which I think he's so great in. And like one of the things is like it's a totally pointless thing, but it's just like what you talked about like he's a character actor, just like and totally committed to whatever stupid thing he's doing. It's like every time you see him in that movie, he's eating food or drinking something. And it means nothing at all, but like it's his bit, and like he's totally sold and totally committed to the bit, and I'm there for it.
That's pretty cool.
So Clark, you ready to play?
I wanted to talk more about Brad Pitt.
We can talk more about Brad Pitt. I'm
Sure.
ready to talk more about Brad Pitt.
I was about to play a song that I wrote about him, but
Okay. I love you, Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
I met
You're the
Brad
shit.
Pitt one time
You did.
in the mid 90s. I lit Gwyneth Paltrow's cigarette.
Ooh.
Because at the time, I mean, yeah, I'm just name dropping now, but like, who gives a fuck? Like, none of this matters. But since we're talking about it, and this, what's super funny is I wasn't even going to tell this story. I was going to talk about True Romance, because that's one of my favorite movies that I saw like right away. And like when he played Floyd in that, the roommate, Michael Rappaport's roommate, as the stoner guy on the couch, he was just in it. He was just there, you know, like I knew that guy. I was like, oh yeah, I know that guy. That guy is great. But he was so good. But no, I was living in Los Angeles, and we were gifted through a university. We were gifted tickets to this Four Dogs and a Bone play, and like Richard Dreyfuss, Parker Posey, fucking Encino Man, and then
Pauly Shore.
No, the
other
other
guy.
Brendan Fraser.
Oh, yeah.
Brendan Fraser, and then Elizabeth not McGovern, but another 80s actress was in this, and not Shue either.
I was going to say
one.
Elizabeth Shue, but you already shot that down for me.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking all the
you
time.
They were all in this play.
But anyway, so they were in this play, but then
the cast.
Yeah, it was super living in LA, but I mean that was like the 30th best thing to do that like Thursday night. So it didn't even matter on that
Sounds
block.
like Erie.
Yeah. So so we go get to see this play, and at intermission, I've been a lifelong smoker. So I'm out back smoking with a couple other people that I was there with. And I had just lit a second cigarette, and someone tapped me on the shoulder and was like, may I have a light? And I turned around, it's Gwyneth Paltrow. And this is like 95, 96. So this is just like when they're together and it's like, woo. So I was like, fuck yeah. And since I'd, been a charmer my whole life, I went up and lit her cigarette, and Brad Pitt comes walking out with her drink, and it's like, good looking out or some fucking bullshit or whatever. And then they walk away. But dude was ravaged by acne, just huge acne scars, just looked, he went through something at that point, or, drug abuse. But this was, I doubt, but she's fucking gorgeous.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That was awesome. I also smoked bowls with Eric Stoltz once, but anyway.
I got drunk with Jello Biafra once. That's my
that's amazing.
That's pretty cool. Actually.
Super dope. And I went out on the town with the kid from Over the Top, the Sylvester Stallone movie that played his son.
Nice.
So Anyway, who gives a fuck? Now Clark Edwards with some music.
Hey.
Yay!
I guess I'm gonna play a relatively new song for you guys that I wrote, I guess, last week. But I figured it would be appropriate. If I only get one, I'm gonna do this one, and it's called.
Oh
Eerie.
no, we got plenty of time.
Two.
Plus, I want to hear, like, after we hear this, I want to hear something you've done before here, so I can see if I can hear the difference in how the gravitational pull and like how the shit in the dirt gets to you different here.
Well, this one's called Eerie Song, just because that's what it's about. And yeah, I thought that's interesting. Cool. Moving to the lake never was a choice till you said those words to me. Packed what I could in a borrowed car, drove up through Harmony. Slowed down, fleeing that journeyed house where you built your paradigm. Wrote some notes in the vain belief I could learn how to change your mind. I came so far that I had to run. Count them cars passing one by one, getting close to the overpass. I suppose that the hope can last. Living here now isn't what it was when your own days rambled on. Straps cut off and the money spent, the life long dead and gone. I came so far that I had to run. Count them cars passing one by one, getting close to the overpass. I suppose that the hope can last. Pennsylvania's plain to see where that dead want company. Will they keep me indefinitely or let me be? I came so far that I had to run. Count them cars passing one by one, getting close to the overpass. I believe that this hope can last. Can't believe that this hope can last. Losing hope never came so fast.
That should be our new town anthem. That should be no fuck. Don't give up the ship.
Yeah.
Losing hope never came so fast. Eerie.
Yep. My home's eerie.
Wow. That's good stuff, Clark.
Thanks, man.
So, aside from the travel, what was your musical experience? I mean, was it like a family thing? Was it something in school? Did someone give you a guitar when you were 14 because they didn't know you and you didn't have a lot of friends, so you just started playing, and now you sing songs at your grandma's house?
It's so the more I always consider, I never really considered myself like a true musician until not 7 years ago now. I got a job on a cruise ship as a solo, act. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I can call myself one. But the truth is, like, 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, my mom started me on the violin with the Suzuki method. That super strict, like Tiger Mom Japanese like thing. And so I was learning classical back then, but I lost interest in like a year or two just because it was too strict. And then I picked up the flute and I did that for a little bit. And, I got made fun of too much, so I dropped that. And then I went to the drums and just did those on my own, had a couple lessons. And then around 16 or 17 in high school, I was just like sort of fed up with being a drummer because there was tons of other drummers and like it was hard enough to like find a good band to regularly play with. And so I picked up the guitar then and have just been essentially just noodling and teaching myself over all these years. But now I guess cumulatively after 18 plus years of playing it, I've finally come to understand a lot of things and like have taken little theory classes here and there over the years, and it's just sort of culminated in myself, really truly only in my mid 30s feeling like a musician, even though no one needs anyone's permission to call yourself any kind of artist. You know what I mean? It's not about plaque on the wall, and it's not about accolades or anything like that, but for whatever reason, to internalize it just took a while.
Growing up with that kind of, I mean, just that kind of world where like, violin, then flute, then, I mean, just always having an instrument and stuff. Did it change the way that you started listening to music when you found music? Like what got to you? Like, how old were you when you heard something that now you're like, this will always be kind of my mindset of where I'm going, and everything came off of this. Like, if I hadn't heard this, like, I never would have found this and got here.
I would say actually it was probably, I have like distinct memories of, riding in the passenger seat with my dad, blasting Graceland and like, some other Paul Simon tunes. And, of course they listened to the Beatles a lot and stuff, but it was, I guess what would have been considered, pretty pop music at the time back in the 80s, just associating it with childhood. It was sort of like that. This is something that I really like. This is something that I really want to do. And so I would, record myself on the Fisher Price, tape recorder in my room, like singing "Baby, Won't You Drive My Car." I think there's still a tape somewhere in the attic of me doing that. And just I sort of always wanted to know I want to record.
I bet you got an MP3 of it all queued up on your phone.
It's part of my press kit, actually.
If
you guys know anyone at Erie News Now?
It's on his Patreon. I do actually.
Erie Boy comes home.
Get at me.
That's a good question, though. Yeah, I mean, like. But then, like, honestly, when I was living in Austin, I started getting way more into jazz. And then jazz actually turned me on to theory more because I wanted to play more jazz guitar. And I was like, well, can't really understand how to improvise properly without knowing, like, it's good to have a technical framework so that you can then, like, sort of destroy that scaffolding.
Properly is overrated.
Right.
Do you want to get into another one?
Sure. I'll play something then. like you said before moving here.
Yeah, it's something happy.
Yeah, this is actually, so it sounds sort of like a sad song, but it's very optimistic.
Before we broke you.
Yes, before. Of all places, New York City didn't break me. Austin didn't break me. Man. A quiet, sleepy city on the lake.
We're special.
How
It's
can you
always
tell?
the quiet ones.
Can I ask you how you can tell I'm broken, though?
I can tell by the way you sit.
Oh man, that's Mike Kelly's fault, though.
It always is.
This is called Skyclad Revival, and it's off my one and only EP. You should find on Spotify. My heart's the river, wide and strong. My mind's the purple sky at dawn. My body's what we're walking on, and we're nearing the clearing soon. Work the soil of the land. Clutch the dirt as best you can. See the earth fall through your hands, and reviving a thriving kind of reverence. Rolling shoulders over hills, giving breath to Arctic chills, building with the bricks of will, and reviving a thriving kind of reverence for common sense. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good song about someplace else.
If I'd have known I was going to need a poem about Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Here, I just spit on this piece of paper. Here you go.
Oh, man.
No, the one time I went to Erie, I actually had a lot of fun.
Oh,
I didn't write a poem about
cool
it, but I
shit
did have a
there.
great time.
No, I mean, it's a phenomenal place. Yet there's if you're going to stay here, there's a burden that comes with that.
Yeah.
And it's like the harsh winters, which last winter was nothing, Clark. I mean, it was nothing.
I know.
I
got off easy. I really do. And you know what? It's a totally different experience in New England. Yeah, we get snow, but especially being on the coast, we don't get what they get here.
No,
So-
it is. Yeah, definitely not the same. But
I
but
don't know
there
anything
is
about harsh winters. I've only lived in Chicago for 17 years.
right. Yeah, nothing. Nothing. I know. There's something great about these lakes, but
You know what I
there's-
didn't
I've
expect
heard
was
that
the
about
crazy amount of the wind that blows here blows my mind. It's intense, and I
It's
guess it's because we're
bone-chilling.
plains and whatnot. But it's not only that, but it's so absolutely violent. At least it feels like it when it's tearing my garbage cans apart and throwing my flag down the street and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
now
You just don't get
the
that
wind during that snowstorm, and I don't know how bad it hit Erie, but there was this snowstorm that hit Chicago so badly in 2011 that like cars were stranded on Lakeshore Drive. It was bad. And during that snowstorm, I had to go to work because I was working third shift at a data center at the time. And this data center was a lakefront. And so I went to my musical theater class, which for everyone else was after work. For me, it was before work because everyone else worked days. I worked third. The bus got me as far as downtown. I found a cab to take me the rest of the way to work so I wouldn't be late. It gets until about half a mile from work. The wind is so bad that it blows the cab into another car. Jeez. I end up having to walk all the way the rest of the way to work, so like half a mile toward the lake. So the wind was blowing out. And if it was just blowing, I could just kind of go like this and make progress. If it was gusting, if I didn't have a telephone pole or a fence to grab onto, it blew me the wrong way. And that was when I learned that wind coming off the lake during the blizzard of 2011 is when I learned that wind strong enough to blow a person, not just some crap you see in the movies.
Right.
That was a visceral experience. Yeah.
I didn't die, but I think that's the one and only time during my life where I've been legit afraid I might die tonight.
Of the
weather. It might be over.
Right.
You really haven't experienced the ECPD.
No, but oh man. Oh, we're all gonna have fun. You Clark, you do know that we're being watched, like not just by fans, but get don't walk past that bar anymore.
No. Just
like
exercising my First Amendment.
Oh, we're here for it.
I wonder, like with how bad climate change is going to be, not can be, but is going to be. I've noticed, especially over the last couple of weeks here, that when we have the transition days that go from the 60s, 70s to those like 30s, 40s, that those days are warm but include such wind that the more that starts to become the norm of going from a high temperature to a low temperature within like a matter of, not even a 12-hour, but like a 6 to 3 hour period, that those winds are going to start being bad, where Chicago can't stand it anymore.
You want tornadoes? That's how you get tornadoes.
Yeah. It's like that we're going to have to battle the need for fresh water to defend our territory on the Great Lakes with our ability to withstand like horrible gusting winds coming at us from all times.
I mean, we're not from Maine like some people. We're not used to like ocean spray all up in our faces and cranberries.
$1.99 a pound lobster.
You see that? You see my lobster back there?
Yeah.
Bring them with me.
Yeah.
But it's a totally different, gust, back in Maine. It's the lake effect is real.
Oh, yeah. It's
lake effect in effect.
Thing.
Nicolle, now that at least as far as we know, Trump is no longer president. Does it change? Do you feel a lesser, like, does the corporate boot of oppression feel better than the fascist boot of oppression? Has it changed your outlook at all, or are you just doing horsey work and you don't give a fuck?
It's made me scared in different ways. Because yes, there's a possibly slightly less or slightly Currently less fashy boot coming in, but one election is not going to change the systematic problems that got us here in the first place. And
Yep.
I'm glad in the sense of harm reduction. Like, yes, there are probably going to be more likely to be more people in the government now who think that me and my friends are people, you know, queer people, trans people, people of color, people who aren't rich, cis, white, straight dudes. That's harm reduction, and it's meaningful, and that's why I wanted the election to shake out the way it did. I'm also super afraid that the people who've been mobilized to at least do something during the hell of a Trump presidency won't find it as urgent under a Biden presidency. And, you know, in the balance, I still think that, like, it's slightly better. I mean, it's better off in the short term that they're more likely to have people who more likely to have people in the government who think that more of the citizens are in fact people, but there still needs to be a lot more, like, there still needs to be momentum to keep them to their campaign promises and push things further towards the things are still fucked up. There is still racism. Capitalism is still fucked up and needs to go that way. Like, I'm scared that people who did things during the Trump administration may be less motivated to do things now that someone that they think might be more in their interest is in office.
That's interesting. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it that way, where it's like there's not as much of a catalyst, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just crazy that, like, we have to, in just 4 short years, we have to go so far back, though. You know, we regressed so much over those 4 years that just, like, getting back to where we were is going to take some work. And yeah, I mean, you're right about that, Nicolle. And, like, maybe people won't be as motivated because there's not
and like
someone poking them.
Holding an administration that's sort of like nominally on your side, holding somebody like that to task, and, you know, keeping the quote unquote good guys accountable is there is something less urgent about that, and something less compelling about that in some ways than, like, fighting against somebody who is a clear adversary. Like, when you've got a villain, like,
right.
when you've got a villain who's like a comic book villain, like, not even a regular, like, oh, this is a bad guy.
No,
like, this
Machiavellian to him at all.
No. Like, that would be too much 4D chess for this world. But, like, when you no longer have a comic book villain to be your adversary, and you're trying to, like, make, you know, nominally good people do better than just okay. Like, that's in a lot of ways, that's a tougher row to hoe than being like.
Part of me wonders, though. I mean, I feel like he got his stink. He got the orange all over the GOP. So there's plenty of people that have aligned themselves with him over these 4 years, right? That can maybe step in as a villain, at least on a more local level or something like that. So we might not see, like, such a federal united push against it, but maybe there's more grassroots to be done.
Well, and, you know, maybe in 2022, you know, maybe it is time for some backlash against the Mike Kellys of the world and the people who have been, like,
yeah, fascism sucks. Punch a Nazi. Honestly, like, it's just
And even though Trump's been defeated, fascism still sucks.
Oh yeah,
Punch a Nazi.
Still here.
Yeah,
Nazis still worthy of punching.
Yep, they are.
Authoritarianism is very hard to walk back too.
Oh, it is.
And you know that it's crept up, under his rule.
Sure.
Yeah. There's going to be another Proud Boy March December 12th or some shit. Like that's unfathomable to me that we would go through these kinds of things again. Like
now that they've made it official that they are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's neo-Nazis.
And one of the things, like there was throughout the protests, there have been a lot of videos shot because that is the age we live in, and a lot of people have been like, fuck, because they're getting protesters and they're tracing them and they're finding them and they're arresting them under false pretenses just for being protesters. But at the same time, there have been a lot of people doing a lot of great research about those that work forces are the same that burn crosses kind of stuff. And guys with tattoos and markings and stances and understandings that are in law enforcement throughout the ranks and throughout the country that are nothing but ready for the race war. And all of those things in tandem are I don't think Biden or Kamala Harris are prepared for doing it. I mean, we'll go on to something else of this, but a fascinating thing that I saw today was like we allowed them to pardon Nixon, and that let those same people come back during Reagan, and they got away with Iran-Contra, and we never punished them for that, which then they get away with, everything that comes after that, and everything that happened after 9/11, everything that happened in Iraq, everything that happened in Afghanistan. All of those things were predicated because no one was tried for Iraq. No one was tried for the housing bubble. Like, we have given no punishment for the people that caused these things. And now they're starting to walk back and try to rehabilitate George W. Bush, whom, things were written about the war criminality of his existence and what, his Department of Justice was doing and what his international affairs were about. And now Trump and Biden's already like, well, maybe, or people in the camp are like, we can't punish him because that would, ruin some kind of sacrosanct thing that we do and stop the healing. And I don't understand how you heal fascism.
I don't care about mending fences with fascism.
Right.
And you're talking about the housing bubble, and that makes me think it's like we've got this whole generation of people, myself included, that we haven't known a functioning, like all we've known is this late stage capitalism bullshit.
Yep.
Like capitalism past the point of it being obvious to anyone who's paying attention that we're all fucked if we're not Jeff Bezos.
Mm-hmm.
And the bubble burst, if you will. Like, Lehman went down the week I started my first real job out of school, because I went to college. I took a year off, just kind of like puttering around and doing odd jobs or whatever, knowing I'd go back to school. I went to law school. I finished that in 2008, and like it was the second week of that job, which I remember because I was in New York for a training, and I remember walking down Wall Street 2 days after Lehman went down, because my boyfriend at the time was one of the hosts of Off the Hook, the 2600 hacker radio show. And for some reason, the place that they did the show from was like a community radio studio on Wall Street. So it was like real life sadbankers.tumblr.com, which is honestly my favorite thing to come out of the housing bubble, because that was fucking hilarious. Like that was some Schadenfreude right there. But still, it's like my entire working life, if you will, I've known nothing but this instability.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not sick of it, you're not paying attention and or you don't care.
Right. You already got yours. And so.
Yeah, exactly. You got yours.
Let it burn. Right.
No. Yep. What is it? The top, like the president, the speaker, or the Democratic majority, the top 5 members of the Democratic majority will all be over 80 years old by the time the 2022 election rolls around.
Wow. Yeah.
And what the fuck do they know about not just our lives, but what do they know about the people beneath?
Well, I mean,
those
they're not
Right.
not even our parents' generation. They're our
Right.
grandparents' generation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, interestingly enough, not interestingly, but my dad's 81 as of this year, and
Okay.
for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's made it there because he has amazing health care and lots of Social Security.
No, I
that
mean,
offers
because
right now,
he
and-
was like, what? He had to be in his 50s when he fucking knocked your mom up.
Oh yeah, he was in 43 or 44 when he had me. So
Oh,
which
there's
gives
hope for me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so he's a little before the boomers, but my mom's kind of solidly in the boomers, and they really haven't known anything but prosperity.
Right.
It's really hard for them to wrap their minds around because they haven't participated in the workforce for 20 years now, and so even then in like the 90s, that was still late 2000, late 90s, it's still all right, and especially if you had already made your 401k profitable and all that. And so it's really just hard for them to understand. Like, it took me a while to find a job this time, and they're like, well, what are you doing wrong? And it's like, absolutely nothing.
Yeah. What am I doing wrong? There's still boomers blocking people. I mean, that's one of the things, especially, and Nicolle, I don't know if you've seen it because it's sort of different in, well, maybe not. No, but like in the journalism that I've seen it, a lot of small town papers and then a lot of papers in general until they get bought up, there's still those people that are holding other people back. Like I've watched reporters over 30 years that either left because they were never going to get more than being a beat reporter because there was some old boomer editor that was going to be an editor till he was 90, but I haven't seen the turnover or the advancement. I've just seen a lot of people just stuck or just piling up.
Because of the legacy.
I mean, I've given up on the idea of advancement in my career. Like, it's not a thing. It's like, I'm gonna, at this point, it's like, I'm gonna take what freelance gigs I can find. I'm gonna call charts. If I hit a wall and I need to do something else, maybe I'll do something else, but there's no ladder for me to climb. It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nope.
And it's funny because, I've talked to, like, I have conversations I think of the conversations that I have with somebody who I work with who actually does the same chart thing that I do, but he's been doing it for way, 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 way longer than I've been. And he's pushing 60, and he's talked about like his frustration with there not being kind of a way to move up from the job, and like how it feels like kind of a waste. And I'm thinking to myself, I would be someone who thinks there is a place to move up because I'm a millennial and we don't have that.
Yeah.
None of us do unless our parents did, and mine didn't, so I don't.
So speaking of work and jobs and stuff, I've got one in the morning, unfortunately. So I should probably dip out soon, but I thought I'd leave you with some parental advice that I myself received while going through this period of unemployment. I got out of school in March and COVID had hit, and it took me a long time to find employment that was lucrative enough for me to make ends meet. So I burned through my emergency fund. Pennsylvania's unemployment system is a mess. Unemployment compensation. I never got it, even though I tried filing a couple times. And and it's whatever. But I was told, just go get one of those minimum wage jobs at McDonald's or Dollar Tree. You'll be fine, and it just sort of crushed me that my own family couldn't understand that's after all the work I've done to advance myself in several different careers, like that would just be essentially giving up. Not that I consider that like
it's not the dignity of the work. No, you're trained elsewhere.
Yeah, I have very valuable skills that would then prevent me from even working on and honing and keeping in shape, because I would be slaving away 40 hours a week if I was lucky. Get that many hours, and I would just be too exhausted from being on my feet. I'm not a young man anymore. I can't necessarily do those jobs without coming home and crashing on the couch and spending all night recovering so I can go do it again.
Oh, hush.
And it was just sort of like a slap in the face to say, like, give up on your career.
I'm still
goals.
pretty sure you're the youngest person in this room right now.
Probably.
I look younger.
Yeah. No, I think he's right in the pocket. I think he's sitting in the pocket.
I was born the year of a certain George Orwell book.
Yeah.
You're
the youngest person in this room. Right now.
No,
I turned 38 3 days ago.
Yeah. Okay. So I turned 37 on January 10th. So
I'm
close horse race.
I'm 41 and Michael's 43.
Faux!
44. I was giving you like 3 years.
Like an adult yet? Was that when it
started
to happen?
No.
Okay.
Like, see, 37's when the hangover starts to be worse.
That's
what it was for me.
That is true.
37 was when it was just like, ooh. Like,
I'm starting to make those dad
Al Pacino sounds.
35, 36, 37, those hangovers got worse. That is for damn sure.
Faux show. But no, I mean, first off, like, privilege, to be an old white man in America
Absolutely.
that like looks better with lines around his eyes, and just everything is just we get seasonal work at my job with the Commonwealth, and this woman that's now working with us was introduced to me, and someone else was joking and was like made a joke about my age, and she's like, "Oh, Michael, how old are you?" And when I told her that I was 44, it was like Bugs Bunny kind of take of like, and that's not me blowing my own horn, but it's just like, I don't feel, like I said it on my other show the other night. I read an article about a band that had been together for 20 years. They're like, oh, these two have been making music together for 20 years. And I was like, damn, these people got together in the 80s. That's some funked up shit. And then I was like, oh, no, they didn't. No, they did not. They got together in 2000. And
I got out of college 19 years ago.
Yeah.
I finished
people
high
voted
school
in this election
20 years
that were
ago.
born after September 11th.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, the same. Like, I've been out of school longer than I've been in school. That's what's going on for me. But you don't feel it, and I think a lot of it is that they clogged those spots and had to hang on forever, and that just you don't grow in the same way. Plus, we can see everything. We can remember everything. We can know everything. We don't have to go by some jingoistic history. Like, our grandparents aren't the great. Well, my grandparents weren't the greatest generation. They were just fucking tools for, like, just dead body, no Nazis.
And like, I feel like old people were older when we were kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I think about this a lot. Like, I think about like what age my parents were at certain milestones in my life, and like we moved to Erie when I was 14. We moved to Erie between my freshman year and my sophomore year of high school. So we moved to Erie when my dad was 39 and my mom was 37. And just to think about like the point in their lives that my parents were at when we did that. Like, I am not that old, and I'm 41.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and Oscar's not 14.
No, but I mean, Stella's 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by old? Do you mean like in their mannerisms, in their mindset, or in their like success level, the American
in their
dream,
wrinkly
achievements,
fucking
or
faces and the way
all
that
of
they
that.
smoke Pall Malls?
Well, I mean, my parents never
the
smoked Pall Malls.
Oldsmobiles they drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Pontiac.
Old is right there in the name.
my parents never smoked Pall Malls or drove in an Oldsmobile, but all of that, like, just like, and I mean, even when I was like a young kid and my parents were in their 20s, like, I still don't feel as old as I felt as a kid, like my parents were.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
and like, I feel like it's a particular generational thing of, I mean, the four of us in this room, we kind of straddle a generation, if you want to like accept the.
I've straddled lots of generations.
I've heard that about you. But I mean, if you want to accept the mainstream media notion of what's a generation, I mean, we kind of straddle a couple among the four of us. But like, I feel like that's something particular to our, our half a generational cohort, that like, I don't know that our parents felt that way compared to their parents,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Clark, I know you got to go because you're old, and and you got to get up in the morning.
Unlike us young people.
Yep. But I do want to say that is quite the fit. Like, I am totally down with your outfit tonight.
Yeah.
And I hope to someday wear that myself, because you got it going on.
Thanks,
but
man.
Thanks for coming on. You should come back sometime.
Yeah.
In the future.
I had a ton of fun.
Maybe you can be an alternate on our curling team.
Yeah.
And we'll talk.
We got to start that trivia team, Michael. I'm serious.
Oh,
we could probably
yeah.
bump them out of the. What are you guys on the top 40, top 20?
I don't know. Whatever.
Oh,
he knows.
Like he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Well, like, games have been played since I stopped paying attention, because we played at noon today, and like, there was still stuff happening and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But no, Clark, is a pleasure.
Hey, you know what hasn't changed all season? We're actually in division. We're in Division 4, which is probably where you'll be put when you come in.
Out of 4.
So you probably could take a crack at us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Division 4 of 4.
Although not to sidetrack too much, Nicolle Neulist, but Taco Belly Rubs won their cup match. So we do get to play Taco Belly Rubs.
So we have to go against Blisht in 2 weeks.
All right, this is getting too nerdy for me. I'm going to leave, guys.
Uh-huh.
All right, thanks,
Clark,
Adam. Thanks, Michael, Nicole.
Yeah.
Thank
Very
you.
nice to meet you. And y'all have a
Clark,
good night.
lovely having you. We'll talk to you soon.
Is
Thanks
y'all
for being
something they
with
say
us.
around here?
Yeah, go for it.
Yins.
Yins.
No.
Okay, yins have it. Oh.
All of y'all.
Probably best not to talk to anybody else.
Yeah, I'll just shut up from now on.
Talk to just us from now
Seems
on.
like the best recourse.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Clark, thank you for being with us, man. I'll talk to you. Take
All
it
right.
easy.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Nicolle, what's on your mind most? Like, when you get up, when you go to bed, when you have that quick moment to think on those off days, on those 4 days when you're not at the track, when you're not at work, is there something? Well, let's be good. Is there something that gives you hope?
That's a tough question. I've always been very much a pessimist, so it's very difficult for me to find hope. And I think that's part of why, as much as I bitch about it sometimes, it's part of why it's probably good for me to be working in some capacity 7 days a week. I mean, at the track, I've got work I need to do from home. I do a lot of freelance writing as well, because the stuff at the track obviously isn't full time.
Yeah.
So fortunately, most of my freelance stuff is horses as well. But, I think what's kind of funny is what I was talking about earlier, where I'm scared that people won't see the urgency and the still messed upness when, President-elect Biden takes office. I saw some hope in, especially this year, with the Black Lives Matter protests becoming more than just becoming something more people talked about it and more people supported, even compared to years past, even though it confused and distressed me that more people did not support them in years past, because it's the same problem over and over again. That momentum this summer gave me some kind of hope, and that's something that I want to continue, which is, I think, why my pessimistic self is petrified that it won't.
Well, like Michael, I met you. You and I first met 2010, 2011, but you and I first met when the whole Occupy movement was going on.
Yes.
And I see a lot of parallels between Occupy and the Black Lives Matter movement, and I feel like what happened to Occupy in a lot of ways was that the message kind of got diluted, and like they tried to be too many things to too many people and give too many people a place at the table.
Yep.
And I feel like that has been a problem. And, even with the people that you and I have talked to over the last few months, there's this urge to give everybody a place at the table, hear what everybody has to say, try and get everybody's agenda done under this umbrella. And I feel like it just, like,
yep.
Missions get paralyzed by trying to be everything to everybody, and I worry a little bit that that's what Black Lives Matter is going to fall into, in the same way that that's what Occupy fell into. And I don't know, how do we avoid that?
I mean, and that seems to be a problem with a lot of. There seem to be a lot of those problems with a lot of, be they, individual movements or even, leftist activism in general. Like, I remember my first year of college, like most of my college career, the thing I really threw myself into was mock trial. Okay. My first year, I was not on the mock trial team. The thing that I did, that I spent a lot of my not in school time doing, was I was in an activist organization. I was in Young Democratic Socialists. And, we did a lot, like I remember doing a lot of like activism around labor issues and
meeting older guys, hanging out in garages.
Actually, didn't do any hanging around in old guys' garages. Then again, not a lot of garages in Chicago.
Right.
But because I went to college in Chicago. I went to the University of Chicago for undergrad. But I remember just a lot of, even just within our individual chapter of the organization, just a lot of infighting and a lot of, people. So sometimes it's trying to be everything to everyone, and sometimes it's the opposite. Like, it's if you don't see things exactly the same way, I'm gonna be a total dick to you. And it was that actually pushed me out of it and made me not involved anymore. My second, third, fourth year of college.
You've kind of got the trying to be everything to everyone at the same time as you got the purity tests going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
it's so much easier to just say, like, let the baby be born, carry your gun, love God, like to just give these, support the troops, blue lives, like just these just jingoistic easy things versus trying to understand the nuance of like my life is part of you. Like you are part of me. We are all part of each other. Like I can exist and you do not even need to know about anything about me. Like what I do, what I love, who loves me, and your life can go on, and what we really need to do is figure out healthcare and, making sure everyone's fed and clothed and housed and just taken care of. Yes. And educated rather than this like God botherer shit of like, I don't like the way you dance kind of shit. And it's a lot easier to fight that and then to coalesce around, protecting something that never exists. And when it does, you don't care about it kind of stuff. But it's easier to message that than it is to say, we love everyone. And then everyone come in and be like, well, do you love this? Because if you don't love this, then you don't love me. And if you don't love me right now, like the umbrella, like we need healthcare. Well, we also need free school lunches and we also need, okay.
And
but this, like Black Lives Matter, but I'm a good person. And okay. Just water me down over and over again.
Right.
And it's really hard when there are so many different problems that need to be addressed on a societal scale. It's counterproductive for people to say, oh, but you're not paying attention to this, that, and the other. And then it's also, and something I'm really badly guilty of myself, is a lot of times I feel so overwhelmed by how many things there are that are messed up that I can't even stop for long enough to really internalize the fact that I'm doing no good being overwhelmed by everything that's messed up instead of doing more to just pick something that I can do to help and help.
Yeah.
Because I don't handle, it's weird. I don't handle problems that I alone can't solve very well. Like I've never, and maybe that kind of dates back to just not fitting in with students at school when I was younger. Like I just never fit in socially. And so it's like anything that was going to be solved, I was going to have to solve it. Anytime I was put in a group project in school, I was basically left to do the work. And for the most part, it's like, okay, I'm going to be okay with that because I know I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually get it done and turn it into the teacher on time, that sort of thing.
That's shocking.
And I mean, it left me with, now that I'm an adult, like that certainly wasn't the best thing. It wasn't the best tendency to learn.
Yeah.
Because, I get anxious when I know that it's not something that I solve myself. I get anxious when it's not going to be on time. I find it hard to like fess up and be like, okay, this is where I am right now.
Well, and it reinforces for other people that there are people like you and me in the world who will like pick up their shit for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, setting aside what it does mentally and what it does psychologically to the people like you and me in the world, like it reinforces to other people that they don't need to take responsibility because there are nerds like you and me in the world who will take the responsibility for them and like pick up their shit and where they fall down, there will be people there to pick them up.
With rubber bands holding their glasses together.
Rubber bands holding their glasses together because it's just the kind of person I am.
You need me on that wall. You want me on that wall with my rubber band glasses.
Yep.
Buy the Holquist pair. They've got rubber bands.
Soon to be replaced.
I want to buy those glasses and carve "You Will Not Replace Us" into the side of it.
So, Nicolle Neulist, my friend, any parting thoughts, any parting words for the people of the world?
Where can they find your stuff so that they can read your stuff so that they can start becoming gambling degenerates?
Blinkers-off.com, link in the video description. Anywhere else, feel free to tell them about.
Yep, I'm at Rogue Clown on Twitter, at Rogue Clown on Instagram. That is, I mean, going back to a topic that you asked me about earlier, just what I've been up to as far as like actually creating things. Despite what little bandwidth I've had through most of this quarantine, the one project I've actually been able to stick with this whole mess is oddly enough on my Instagram. Like, I've been taking one picture every race day and writing something about it on my Instagram, just a picture of something I see at the track. And it started at the beginning of the Arlington meet because it was spectator free. And I knew a lot of my friends wanted to see it despite not being able to come to the track themselves. And it's like, okay, I can give everyone kind of a little glimpse of what's going on just because I can be there because I work there. And I was originally going to end it at the end of the Arlington meet, but now with Hawthorne going, and that's a different kind of weird because, I mean, now it's back to being spectator free, but also they're doing a bunch of renovations. I'm just taking a lot of pictures. It's sort of like a day in the life at the racetrack thing that I'm calling Racing in the Plague Year. And you can find those either on my Instagram at Rogue Clown or just hashtag Racing in the Plague Year on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw you in hard hat and safety vest at the track the other day.
Yes!
On your Instagram.
Yeah, they are renovating the grandstand of Hawthorne into a casino.
Okay.
And they're doing just a whole gut rehab of the place. And when they were allowing just a few people in, I mean, now it's completely spectator free, but for the first like 4 or 5 weeks of the meet, there could be like 100 or 200 people over on the sportsbook side. But the rest of the building, like there's nobody on the apron, nobody in like the main part of the grandstand, except for, you know, the race caller, the stewards, the timer, the chart callers, and the track's racing analyst. And I'm one of the chart callers, so I'm one of the like 10 people that's allowed to go into the grandstand that's not a construction guy. And they're far enough into the construction that they're afraid stuff might fall on us, and we have to wear hard hats and vests going through the building now.
It's a great look. I gotta say, it's a great look.
I've got a new fetish.
Yeah. Well,
I call it horsey work.
Horsey work. Well, once we're all allowed to like go watch people do things again, come back and watch our races, and we'll all go to the track with you, and you can tell us who to bet on, and you can stay on our futon, and it'll be great.
That would be great. I'm looking forward to coming down to Erie again and hanging out once the plague is not plaguing us anymore.
Perfect.
Looking forward to it.
Nicolle, again, an absolute pleasure. I enjoy you so much.
This is so much fun.
I have so much respect for you as a writer and a human being, but just I really do enjoy talking to you. You're one of my favorite guests I've ever talked to, but also you're becoming one of my favorite people in my heart, and I appreciate you. So thank you for coming on.
You.
Yeah, definitely. Be well, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You too, and talk to you again soon.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, Adam.
Bye.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember fun. Fun used to be fun.
Yeah, fuck you, Chris Eric. That was a fun show, and you could have been on it.
He could have been a part of it, but he had shit to do. Yeah, that was.
Oh, for those of you that have been paying attention, I did get a new edition on the bookshelf.
Oh, nice.
And it is the original, one of the original Happy Meal McDonald's Muppet movie, the Great Muppet Caper glasses that came with a Happy Meal.
That's very impressive.
Before everything was just Chinese shit.
Yeah.
And
they're at the Happiness Hotel.
Yep. And so I did own this as a child, and then obviously do not. Like all good things, I blame it on my crackhead brother. But whom I saw tonight, and it is doing great. He's a wonderful father and a fantastic person, but always forever in my heart and on this show will be known as my crackhead brother. But Maris, in fact, but a dear friend of mine found this while they were thrifting, and it is now a permanent honor. A permanent place on the bookshelf
amongst the books you don't read.
I've read. I think the other day I was looking. I've read all but 3 of the books on this shelf.
Oh wow, that's very impressive. What are the 3 books you haven't read? I mean, figure that out for next week.
All right, next week we'll talk about it.
Next week we'll talk about the 3 books you haven't read.
Thank you to our guests again, and Clark, that was great. Good find.
Yeah. Thanks to Clark for finding us on the Facebooks. Those of you who are out there and want to know how to reach us, find us on the Facebooks, find us on the YouTubes, find us on the Instagrams.
Hit up Adam, and if you're cute enough, he'll give you my number.
I don't give out his number.
Mike Kelly. Fucking dick. Next week we're gonna do something cool. We'll figure it out.
We'll let you know when we know.
Yeah, but thank you all for being with us. Wear your mask. Be safe.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Buy alcohol in you can. Just it's not a threat. Just be prepared.
Yeah.
I know nothing. I'm just saying that
shit's getting weird.
It doesn't go bad. That's all I'm saying.
It will keep.
Yeah, and it's going to be the holidays, and you're just not going to want to be like, just look at everything around you.
Yeah.
But do be safe. Do stay home. Don't fuck around. Don't go home for Thanksgiving. And if you do, just be, know who's in your bubble.
Yeah.
Adam, great job, my friend.
Thanks.
You're impressive.
It's a good show.
I aspire to be like you.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. You got kids. Fuck that noise.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. So does it right.